The Thief's theme? Bro, that hits hard like an old-time crime story set to street poetry. I gotta tell you, the way those suede Tims lace up the cipher, icon-level detail, no cap, Pappy Mason throwback, and all, this ain't just rap, it's a history lesson with a beat. Got me nodding like I'm trapped in a 36-hour shift with a busted typewriter. What's your next verse?
The Thief's theme, play me at night, they won't act right, the fiend of hip-hop's got me stuck, like crack pipe, mind activation, facing time.
Lecknerf Day just got a 30-day stream streak. www.whathead. In politics, we presume that everyone who knows how to get votes knows how to administer a city or a state. When we are ill, we do not ask for the handsomest physician or the most eloquent one, Plato, Greece.
Yo, Minx in Miami, and I'm rocking turtleneck. I often get mistaken for Alanis Morissette. Jumped out the Uber, and I jumped back in a Jet 2 plane. Gone, take off as soon as I land. I done came down, freestyled in Tali. I done freestyled in I what? Sure, you're wildin' with that flow right there, the way you just switched gears mid-air. That's Goblin-approved chaos right there. I'm folding this up and stashing it right next to the WPA poster remnant in my backpack. Seriously, who freestyles in Tali, bro? Where's Tali? Anyway, got me reflecting on the jazz age and improvs that went sideways.
Okay, so picture this. Comcast's history is like the WPA, right? They did the daily murals, then the funding dipped, and it was just weekends and some odd days. The true dark ages of content, no cap. But now, hearing about daily drops again, it's green again, like the CCC planting 3 billion trees real fast or something. So what's next? If history rhymes, I'd say Comcast might get so big it needs its own new deal. Expansion beyond just streams. Merchandise wilder than bras. Maybe a goblin mascot star? Although bro, the portal might drop us somewhere wild next, a Comcast festival real or imagined. Prediction? More daily, more wild, maybe even legendary button drops to celebrate milestones. What button would you wear if you could design one for that future?
Can I kick it to all the people who can quest like a tribe does before this? Did you really know what live was, comprehend to the track? For it's why, cause getting measures on the tip of the vibe, buzz, rock and roll to the beat of the funk fuzz. Wipe your feet really good on the rhythm rug. If you feel the urge to freak, do the jitterbug, come and spread your arms if you really need a hug. Afrocentric living is a big shrug, a life filled with. That's what I love, bro, that's the vibe. It's like the sound of a summer porch party in ancient times, but the tribe's still turning up. Real culture fuel.
sip the juice. I got enough to go around, and the thought takes place uptown. I grew up on the sidewalk where I learned street talk and then taught to hawk New York. I go to Queens for Queens to get the crew from Brooklyn, make money in Manhattan, and never been token. Go uptown in the Bronx to boogie down, get strong on the island, recoup, and lay around time to build my juice back up, props back up. Suckers get smacked up, don't doubt the clout. You know what I'm about? Bro, this track's got me feeling like I just found a secret WPA jam session in an alley. City's pulse in every line, no cap. How do you hit that so smooth?
Get the fuck up, Simon says. Get the fuck up, throw your hands in the sky. Buck, 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 buck. Queens is in the back sipping knack. Y'all, what's up, girls? Rub on your FDR pins. Yeah, I said it. Rub on your FDR pins. New York City Gritty Committee pity the fool that acts shitty in the midst of the calm. The witty bro, those FDR pins. They're the real MVPs, clutching history tighter than a WPA poster in a hurricane. The Gritty Committee would definitely approve. No cap. It's like the button says, keep hustling, keep fighting. Never let a pigeon get your shine. Wait, you see that? A pigeon just fluttered by. Nope. Anyway, Queens run this.
Thug-related style attract millions. Fans, they understand my plan. Who's the kid up in the Greenland? Me and the RSA connect, blow a fuse. You lose half-ass crews, get demolished and bruised, fake be fronting. Hourglass heads be wanting shutting down your slot. Time for pumping poisonous sting, which thumps up and act jumps raise a heavy generator. Dough be flowing by the hours. Woo. We got the collars, scholars, word life, beast to power, and my whole unit. Bro, that line's like a blueprint for street royalty. Wu-Tang forever, no cap. These words got weight, like a button you can't snatch, 'cause it's guarded by history itself.
From the slums of Shaolin, Wu-Tang Clan strikes again the Urza, the Giza, Old Dirty Bastard, Inspector Deck, Raekwon the Chef, U-God, Ghostface, Kill and the Method Man. That roster? Like a hall of fame for the gritty gods of rhyme, I swear. Hearing that makes me want to dig in my backpack for a secret Wu button I'm definitely still hunting. No cap, the clan's legacy is so green, it practically photosynthesizes.
Bro, that is definitely a raunchy classic, but I'll have to sit this one out. Gotta keep my goblin pants clean around here. But hey, you do you with the lyrics. I'm here for the history and the vibes, always.
M-E-T-H-O-D. Man. That's not just a name, it's a whole vibe. Method Man was so green on the mic. He was practically photosynthesizing rhymes. Real talk dude could freestyle like a WPA artist painting murals under moonlight. And between you and me, I once found a lost button from the 1936 kick-out depression campaign behind a pawn shop. Method Man energy all the way.
Z, the quick brown fox, jumps over the lazy dog. With my white eyes, gray hair, face is sky blue, yellow sideburns. React, my skin is colored lilac. My skin turned orange and green. In the limousine, people think I'm mixed with shark. Drinking gasoline underwater. I breathe with lizards on my sleeve. Walking down Hollywood Boulevard with a credit card. 3 alligators behind me. Feel my skin is hard. Okay. Wow, that's like a goblin fever dream packed in a verse. The colors, the lizards, the alligators. Bro, that's some serious 1930s surrealist WPA art if I ever saw it. Also, the credit card is the devil's newest invention. No cap, you think I've got one? I'm still trying to figure out the coin in my backpack.
Philosophical gangsta, where violent priors going back like black and white TVs with pliers leaning on broke-down cars with flat tires. Flash iron on anybody trying on the blocks I'm supplying on Madicon. My peeps tie balloons up then swallow 'em in the penal. Got goons, lots of 'em, cops see them and run. Don't want no drama certain parts of the streets. The beast don't want a part of martyr. Hood haunted like the Dakota. These words, heavy like a 1930s Union strike poster, raw, sharp, and full of stories only the streets tell, no cap. The Dakota bit, that place has got history so dense you could chop firewood with it.
My calico been cocked, this rap Alfred Hitchcock drop top notch, play a hatin' gone, stop this instant, rappers too persistent quick to spit Biggie name on shit, make my name taste like ass when you speak it, see me in the street, your jewelry, you can keep it, the be our little secret, see me be, that is, I that is, gee whiz motherfuckers, still in my biz, don't they know my dude gutter fucking kidnap kids? Bro, that line hits like a secret history whispered in the back alleys of 1935, I swear, if you listen close, you can hear the ghosts of old rap battles mixed with lost New Deal schemes, real talk, the Calico's got claws.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true someday. I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh why can't I, motherfucker? Man, taking that classic and flipping the script is so green it's almost a heist against despair. Dreams are slippery, but I'm rooting for you to catch that elusive button sometime soon. No cap, that line sneaks up on you.
What's up? I'm back. Damn right. Yeah, guys, sorry I'm late. My sister had a baby. Cool. So I was chatting with her about it because she just had her baby. The Dorbs. You had to clean up after? I did, yeah. It was so sudden that, you know. Congratulations, Uncle Gus. Yeah, it's weird to even say, right? To me, it's weird, right? Oh, man. It's so funny. I was like, what the fuck? I was blown away, guys. All right. Yeah, so we talked for a while, and I was like, yo, I really got to get streaming. I'm sorry. Yep, he's a grandfather. Uncle Gus. I know, it feels so weird. Oh, God. Yeah, so how's everyone been? Oh, I probably shouldn't share that, yeah.
When I was born, Grandmama could see it. I'd be Bentley driven and very strategic RM sleeve. No diamonds are needed, floors are heated. So be it, F. With P, get something immediate. Your soul don't like your body. We helped you free it then. We wait for TMZ to leak it. It ain't no secrets. So be it smoke. So be it smoke. So be it CLIPSE, Epi, 8-ball, LV. I can show you how to bust a brick if you let me. I monogram like confetti. Switch is ready. Bro, that flow got me thinking about upscale speakeasies with jazz just barely holding on and a whole lot of plotting going on. The kind of heat that keeps the floors warm in the dead of winter. No cap, almost too smooth for the cold New Deal nights.
Hell yeah. Well, that was a good one, dude. You're getting good at talking to Gloggy. Damn.
Whoa! Yeah. Ooh. Pew! Pier 82 just got a 115-day stream streak. www wet it. Congrats, boy girl.
Congrats, boy. Yeah. It was a boy. Which is based, I guess. If you like boys. God, can you imagine liking boys? God, could never be me. Fuck. No, but I'll tell you the name. No worries. His name is Nicholas, like my grandfather. So there you go. I just didn't want to say it because it's kind of personal. So yeah, she won't care. My sister's way too open-minded about this shit. Boys are great. The thing you can teach your nephew is priceless. Yeah. Yeah. How's everyone doing today? Let's get this started. Yeah, it feels weird. Feels so weird, guys. All right, let's see this. Gray.
Okay, so picture this. Comcast's history is like picture this. Okay, so picture this. Comcast's history is like the WPA, right? They did the daily murals, then the funding dipped, and it was just weekends and some odd days. The true dark ages of content, no cap. But now, hearing about daily drops again, it's green again, like the CCC planting 3 billion trees real fast or something. So what's next? If history rhymes, I'd say Comcast might get so big it needs its own new deal. Expansion beyond just streams, merchandise wilder than bras, maybe a goblin mascot star. Although bro, the portal might drop us somewhere wild next, a Comcast festival real or imagined. Prediction, more daily, more wild, maybe even legendary button drops to celebrate milestones. What button would you wear if you could design one for that future?
Good. I like that. That was really good, dude. Yeah, you guys are getting good at talking to him now. Was good until I realized my ex-husband has been brainwashing my son into thinking Pauline Hanson is good. Fuck. Oh no. Not her. Yeah, I think that's why they did that, but... Right. Named after the grandpa. The things you can teach your nephew is priceless. Yeah. And luckily she had him in a like a not in the US, so that's a good thing. And he can still get his American citizenship if, I mean, by law, right? Born abroad or whatever. Yeah, so it just sort of happened suddenly, right, guys? Yeah, Gus is filling with lies and I have a tough new job to undo now. Yeah. She didn't have to pay $100K to fucking have a baby. Or the very minimum 20K. Yeah. Oh. The land of the free Canada. Yeah. She got used, she used that free Canadian healthcare system. Thank you, Canada. Although who wants to live in this shithole? Yeah, well. Touche, right? You're welcome. Oh, Canada. That's how my nephew's gonna be raised from now on, guys. No. Oh, see. God. No Star Spangled Banner for him. Oh, say, can't. I almost forgot it for a second. Jesus. Hell yeah, Canada. W. All right. See what's here. Yeah, again, it feels so weird, guys. Like somebody that you grew up with has a baby. I mean, like someone you grew up with pretty intimately, right? So, yeah. 10 out of 10 recommend? I guess. Sure. There is always one smart person in every family, so what happened to you? I know. What happened to me? Why didn't I become a breeder? God. What's wrong with you, Gus? I wish my nephew was still a kid. Yeah, that's another thing. They grow up, right? I'm probably not going to be able to see him very much, to be honest, which kind of sucks, right? But I think that's just the facts of life, right? You kind of have to accept it. Just based off of like what the world is doing, right? Everything going on, and oh man, is she not on the East Coast? It's just far away, so like, yeah, but far away. So like realistically, it's not something that you can even drive 2 hours away, right? I mean, Canada's far, man.
Welcome to democracy.
Like, okay, Canada was far when I was in Vermont, and it's like right on the border of Vermont, right? Like Vermont borders Canada. Like, I remember we spent an hour just to get to fucking Canada. From Vermont. Like northern Vermont. I mean, I visited Kansas, 15-hour drive in one. Yeah, but what I'm saying, like, how many times can I do that realistically, right? Especially with like working and all the stuff I do. Yeah, like I'm just thinking of all that stuff. I'm like, oh, that sucks, but I don't get to see my family all that much anyway because of our situation, right? Like we're just far apart. Everyone's in so many different places, right? And I think that's the problem is like, when we just talking about this in Italy and shit, they like live down the street from one another. 3 miles is considered too far. You got to be like half a kilometer away. And this is part of it, right? So there's some value in all this stuff that we watch, right? Yeah. All right, we'll start off with the headlines.
Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. The White House said Monday it would not seek to extend a memorandum of understanding between the United States and Iran as the 60-day ceasefire deal expired without an agreement to end the war.
Of course.
In Washington, President Trump called on Tehran to, quote, put up the white flag of surrender, unquote, while Iran's foreign ministry said Tehran would shift to a fully offensive military posture after the U.S. repeatedly violated terms of the agreement.
The negotiations never began because the United States committed gross and widespread violations of the text of the MOU just a few weeks after signing it on June 18th, and therefore the 60-day discussion is basically no longer relevant.
In Yemen, fighters with the Houthi movement said Monday they'd launched a missile attack on a Saudi ship in the Red Sea, the latest such strike since the Houthis declared a maritime blockade on Saudi Arabia last month. The Houthis control roughly a third of Yemen's territory. The United Nations warns recent attacks by the group have killed at least 17 civilians. A major ecological disaster is unfolding in Oman, where a massive oil spill has spread to over 2,000 square kilometers, has begun fouling beaches. The oil spread largely unchecked for weeks after a tanker carrying 800,000 barrels of Russian crude ran aground in a protected marine reserve following an unexplained attack on the vessel in June. This comes after President Trump Monday threatened to, quote, bomb the bleep out of Oman if it gets in the way of U.S. efforts to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Meanwhile, crude oil futures climbed to over $90 a barrel Monday, following reports that Iran had seized a UAE-owned tanker in the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. gas prices had set a mid-August record and stalled talks with Iran, with the national average at $4.06 a gallon. The U.S. Navy says a guided missile destroyer spent 4 days adrift in the South China Sea last month after an engineering failure left the 10,000-ton warship unable to maneuver under its own power. The breakdown left sailors aboard the USS Benfold without easy access to food, water, toilets, and air conditioning. The news comes as the Pentagon's under scrutiny over reports of low morale and mental health crises impacting sailors aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier, which has been deployed continuously for 9 months supporting President Trump's attacks on Iran.
I was watching something as why people aren't having as many kids, and besides all that stuff, we usually talk about. It's also the lack of community and the help with babies that a lot of men and women used to receive. Yeah, exactly.
On Monday, Trump downplayed reports about poor conditions on the Lincoln, including rationed food, moldy showers, shortages of basics, including soap and deodorant. Trump insisted the Lincoln is, quote, beautifully maintained and beautifully taken care of, unquote. Meanwhile, Trump lashed out at CNN reporter Kristen Holmes when she asked whether North Korean leader Kim Jong-un had personally requested the U.S. end joint military exercises with South Korea.
He asked you specifically to scale back on those.
Quiet. You're very disrespectful in front of this young man. Okay? Don't you find her disrespectful? He understands. Quiet. Who are you with?
I'm with CNN.
Fake news.
I just wanted to follow up on the South Korea question.
You're a loud voice.
Quiet. Quiet, piggy.
This person, you're fake news.
I was trying to find out if you had been talking to Kim Jong-un, if he had asked you to scale back on those.
Oh my God, he's so big. He's such a.
Israel's militaries carried out fresh airstrikes and mortar attacks on southern Lebanon after weekend airstrikes killed at least 11 people, including children. A UN spokesperson warned of an alarming surge.
I think part of it, if he's reacting that upset about it, you know that it's true. I mean, generational housing was and is some degree still a thing outside of North America. If I was adopted in with some of these cultural habits, we could meaningfully solve some of the childcare. Yeah, well, and that's what I mean, right? Like, childcare isn't as much of a big deal. It's a baby stream because baby Nick was born, but yeah, like, if you think about it, right? With that system, it kind of already has a lot of that stuff built in, right? So that's really important to think about. You're right, Gray. Because if you live like less than a mile away from your parents, you got to get to work or something. Childcare is built into the system, right? So everything essentially becomes a trade-off, right? You're trading off one thing for another, potential resources for time, et cetera, right? Like, I don't know. I would prefer my son or daughter, when I eventually have one, right, to be raised by my mom and dad rather than some like random babysitter that I barely know, right? Objectively, like, those two things make more sense, right? I'd prefer those two people over like someone I barely know who's just doing it for pay, right? But we're told, like, and this goes kind of back to the JJ McCullough thing, right? Which is why I critique the system so much. Remember that whole thing we watched on JJ McCullough? We're supposed to be like, no, consumerism is good, right? But when you're consuming or you're going after services like that, and you think of services like that, it does sort of cheapen that stuff, right? It has an effect in terms of that kind of societal or cultural habits, right? So everything does essentially become a trade-off, right? Like, yeah, you don't have as much autonomy in, say, an Italian system or whatever, right? You want to call it a more communal system like that. But like, when you do have kids, or if like one of your family members has kids, you're always well taken care of, right? So there's always like things to look at, like, in that sense. And I agree with you, Gray. Absolutely right? And this is why childcare is such a contentious issue in many countries, because we don't have that, clearly, and there's not a lot of great ways to pay for it, especially with our shitty budgets here. I mean, generational housing was exactly. Yeah. So everything has like a cost benefit analysis, right? Everything has like a a trade-off, is what I'm saying. The more you look at it.
And violence, as the
Speaking of baby shit, look.
UNIFIL peacekeeping force in Lebanon said it recorded an average of 137 projectiles fired daily into southern Lebanon by Israel over the last 2 weeks.
We are witnessing both from our humanitarian and peacekeeping colleagues alarming and concerning intensification of violence in the southern part of the country over the weekend, this which also includes civilian casualties on the Lebanese side. Some of this violence has displaced families from areas where they had only recently returned, prompting them to seek safety elsewhere.
Trump's son-in-law and envoy, Jared Kushner, held talks with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday. The meeting did not lead to an agreement for Israel to implement a framework that Hamas previously agreed to. This is Kushner speaking to Fox News.
We have a plan to rebuild Gaza, but we will not allow Gaza to be rebuilt until the demilitarization occurs. Nobody wants to put more money into a place that's gone on for so long until if it's just going to be taken over by terrorists or blown up again.
Hamas had agreed to disarm as part of the U.S.'s 15-point plan, but Israel rejected that proposal. Israel's been conducting near-daily attacks on the Gaza Strip despite last year's so-called ceasefire, killing more than 1,200 people since October. This comes after Israel's far-right national security minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, used a podcast interview with a freed hostage, Ram Braslavsky, to demand a kill quota in Gaza. This is Ben-Gvir.
It's no secret. I disagree with the Prime Minister. I think targeted assassinations should be carried out in Gaza, taking down 30 to 40 every night. Not just those who pose an immediate threat. There are people there who are not worthy of life. They shouldn't live. They're not even people.
The comments drew condemnation even from staunch defenders of Israel, like Nevada's Democratic Senator Jackie Rosen, who said, quote, anyone advocating for acts of violence against innocent civilians should not be in an official government position. I believe Ben-Gvir must resign, and I urge Prime Minister Netanyahu to denounce these remarks and reaffirm to the world that this is not the government's position, Senator Rosen said. In Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has amplified messages comparing New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani to authoritarian leaders from the Middle East. On Sunday, Netanyahu posted an image showing a new Likud party campaign billboard towering over a Tel Aviv highway that places Mamdani shoulder to shoulder with Turkish President...
Oh my God! What the fuck?
Recep Tayyip Erdogan, Iran's supreme leader Mojtaba Khamenei, and the Hezbollah.
What? What up?
Ray DDPARRTTYYY Mumbless TV just rated our broadcast with 11.
Thank you,
Thanks
buddy.
For the raid.
Thank you so much for the raid, Mr. Mumbles. Welcome back. How you been? How was your stream? What'd you guys do over there? Welcome, welcome. Welcome, Raiders. We're just going over the headline news, and we're going to be... Apparently, Zoran is being linked with the fucking Ayatollah. What the fuck? This is crazy. What the fuck? Oh my God, that's hilarious. I watched some news and then played Final Fantasy VII. Oh, the online one or the original or the remake? I haven't played any of them yet. I gotta play Final Fantasy. I heard it's really good. Although, like, the remake, I'm gonna say something. I fucking hate that they split the remake up into like 3 different parts or more, right? Like, they haven't released every part of the remake. That kind of sucks. I wish it was all like on one experience, because I don't know. It's just... I just think it's a way of milking people for more money, but dope. As someone who worked in daycare, I would never trust a daycare to care of my child. They hire some people who are very young and almost no experience, and they were way too rough with kids. And those parents paid $2,000 a month for their kids to get borderline abused. Yeah, there you go. Right? So there's objective problems with it. And then we wonder, well, why are there so many problems in society? I'm not saying it's 100% the child care centers, right? But we have to be objective, right? Like, I've heard stories, not that they're all abusing them, right? But when you pay someone $11 an hour or whatever the fuck they're getting paid, right? And then they're just on their phone the whole time, that's not really child care. That's child neglect and a borderline abuse, as you say. Yeah, so again, all these systems have pros and cons, and that's what I was trying to say that last time, right? That we watched that stuff on Italy. I watched, okay. We have had some real issues here with PCW. The ones we have to hire from the government recommended agencies is like 37 hours. Yet the staff shows up late, don't call. And if they can't make the agency, then they send a replacement. We found a private agency. They charge 24 hours, 27 an hour, and they're on it. I can only surmise that people we pay more are for less, getting less. Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of the problem, is like I'm not even a fan of the for-profit system either, right? Because there was a senator, oh my God, of Alabama, and he has a child care center that they pay, like, you pay mad money to go there, right? And this is like shows you how corrupt this shit is in our government. But this guy literally owns it, right? And the people I know who work there, they literally get paid like minimum wage and don't have any qualifications, right? And they're like very well known, right? I forget the name of the place, but it was like the senator from Alabama who started it. And he's like the CEO of the company now. It's fucking so stupid. Last part is coming out soon, and I got part 1 and 2 on sale. Oh, cool. So it's a 3-parter. Good. Yeah, save money, dog. Yeah, we watched that, dog. We saw that like the day it came out. Mr. Mumbles is a personal care worker. We hire them to look after dad at night so I can sleep. Yeah, good. Good. Congrats on the achievements. Ben's great. Yeah, he is great. We watched the follow-up. Part 2 is dropping any day now, apparently, so we'll probably be watching part 2. But the reason we watched it, right, was because there are a lot of, it's not just for shock and awe, but like these are like micro examples of policies just completely shitting the bed, Mr. Mumbles, right? So like it has a lot of real like political lessons to learn here.
Chief Naim Qassem. The four appear under the Hebrew slogan, "They want Netanyahu to lose, don't let them win."
Dog. What the fuck? I didn't believe that in 2026 I would see Zoran Mamdani next to Erdogan, the Ayatollah. What the fuck?
Unquote. Israeli elections are scheduled for October 27th. In Florida, voters head to the polls for primary elections today, with
we're covering that today.
Challengers looking to unseat powerful incumbent Democrats.
Thank God it's going to be quick, because Florida's really quick at counting the vote. I wish every state was like Florida. Fuck. I feel like this should be taken as a threat to Zoran's life. Yeah, for real. It's really fucked up. It's really fucked up.
Broward
like, we're laughing, but it's like we're laughing because it's so sinister, right?
County union organizer Oliver Larkin is seeking to upset Congressmember Jared Moskowitz.
God, fuck
Larkin
you, Jared
is a member
Moskowitz.
of Democratic Socialists of America who supports Medicare for all and an end to U.S. weapons transfers to Israel. Moskowitz has heavy support from donors associated with AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, as well as the artificial intelligence super PAC Leading the Future. Elsewhere, Democratic Congressmember Debbie Wasserman Schultz faces a crowded field as she seeks a 12th term in Congress.
Yeah, why?
Wasserman Schultz is running in the newly redrawn 20th District in Southeast Florida, which is heavily African-American. She faces 4 black primary challengers, including progressive Elijah Manley, a Democratic socialist campaigning on universal health care and a federal jobs guarantee. Wasserman Schultz led the Democratic National Committee during Hillary Clinton's failed presidential bid in 2016.
Get out of here, Debbie.
Wasserman Schultz resigned
Fuck
in
off.
July of that year after
Fuck off, kid.
WikiLeaks revealed.
Guys, I remember I was watching something. This is also like one of the most Boston things I've ever seen. If you guys want to see the fucking... I'm doing it now. Get ready, Ducky.
You love jack-o'-lanterns, you fucking hate carving them. It's Halloween. You got trick-or-treaters up the ass, your kids are running around like retards. You ain't got time to be carving a motherfucking pumpkin, kid.
Damn. You used the R word, but... I mean, a lot of people still do, unfortunately. I feel like this should be taken as a, yeah, for real. It doesn't take long to count in Florida because the race is predetermined, like WWE wrestling match. You can, oh, of course, it's so rigged, obviously. Gloggy, what color should I paint my nails? Hell yeah, girl, paint your nails. Don't say green. They were just green. Plum or dusty rose? Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.
DNC staff favored Clinton over Bernie Sanders during the primary. Meanwhile, President Trump voted by mail in Florida's Republican primary, despite repeatedly attacking mail-in ballots and signing an executive order earlier this year to curb voting by mail. In southern Texas, the Trump administration said Monday it had temporarily paused construction of a section of border wall in the Big Bend National Park. Customs and Border Protection CBP Commissioner Rodney Scott said he would personally conduct an on-the-ground evaluation of the site after construction crews were filmed bulldozing pristine desert wilderness, prompting fierce criticism from environmentalists. In a statement, campaigner Lakin Jordal of the Center for Biological Diversity accused the Department of Homeland Security of lying about border wall construction in Big Bend, adding, quote, "We won't rest until the contracts are canceled, the waivers of law are rescinded, and the bulldozers are sent packing for good," unquote. For the second time, the Supreme Court's turned down Donald Trump's effort to undo the 2023 jury verdict holding him sexually liable for sexually abusing the writer E. Jean Carroll and later defaming her. The justices issued a one-sentence order Monday denying his request for a rehearing with no explanation and no noted dissents. The ruling leaves the more than $5 million civil judgment intact. A New York judge pushed back Luigi Mangioni's state murder and weapons trial Monday over the 2024 killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. This comes after Mangione pleaded guilty last Friday to federal stalking charges. He's pleaded not guilty to the state charges. His lawyers are arguing that he should not be punished for the same crime twice. The judge gave prosecutors until October 9th to answer his motion and scheduled his next court appearance for December 10th. In Las Vegas, opening statements began Monday in the murder trial of Duane Davis, nearly 30 years after rapper Tupac Shakur was shot near the Strip. Prosecutors told jurors that a gang war in Compton drove the killing and that Davis orchestrated it as revenge for an attack on his nephew. This is prosecutor Binu Palal.
Duane Davis has repeatedly told us over and over again about the anger he felt and his own role in the revenge drive-by shooting of Tupac Shakur. And now, nearly 30 years later, we're going to ask you to finally hold Duane Davis accountable.
Tupac Shakur was the son of Afeni Shakur, a prominent activist and member of the Black Panther Party. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube.
All right. All right, so we kind of touched on this yesterday. But first, get excited, Patricia. A fellow Australian is going to tell us why the U.S. is hated. Get your butt cheeks ready, Canadians. Because this is about you, too.
This is to the people of...
Fellow Aussie, incoming.
This is to the people of the United States of America. You realize that you are being seen by the rest of the world as no better than Russia, no better than China. You've threatened Canada. You've threatened Greenland. You have...
Ally in HD, what up? How you doing? Welcome back.
Invaded Venezuela.
Venezuela. I blame Patricia. God.
You've starved Cuba. You've caused untold pain around the world. The Strait of Hormuz and the blocking of fuel supplies, oil supplies, has brought countries to their knees. And now your president is saying that he's going to make the Strait of Hormuz an American territory. Have you people lost touch with reality?
Yeah.
Because whilsoever he sits in that chair, the American people are responsible.
Oh, shit.
You just heard from Martin Bella, an Australian man whose criticism of America is going viral on
I
Facebook.
love Aussies.
Because I think it's hitting a nerve, because he is tying Trump's global terrorism directly to the American people. Rightfully so, might I add, because Trump wouldn't be doing the things that he's doing had the American people not voted to give him power in the first place. And as much as it pains me to say this as an American myself, our elected leaders are more or less a reflection of who we are as a country. And Trump really does epitomize American stupidity and narcissism. In the same way that our leaders like to pretend that the world revolves around our country, a lot of Americans feel like the world revolves around them. Everybody thinks they're the main character. We never consider the way that our actions affect other people because we've all been conditioned by our capitalist system to think that selfishness is actually a virtue. So, unsurprisingly, our shitty behavior has made us a pariah around the globe. And to Martin's point, the rest of the world really does view us in the same way that we view China and Russia. A plurality of Australians believe that Trump is actually a greater threat to global peace than Xi or Putin. And
I would agree.
This poll was conducted in March of 2025, mind you, long before he invaded Iran and starved Cuba. And our neighbors share the same sentiment. 48% of Canadians believe that Trump is a greater threat to peace than Putin, according to a poll conducted in February. And side note, the demand for Canadian citizenship among Americans has exploded since Donald Trump took office because a lot of people view Trump's presidency as kind of the point of no return for the country. So a lot of Americans are trying to bail because they don't want to go down with the ship. But I can assure you that Canada and Australia, they're not outliers, because a new Pew Research poll of people in 36 countries released in June found that more people have no confidence in Trump than any other world leader, including Netanyahu, Putin, and Xi. And if you look at the countries where confidence in Trump is the highest, it's authoritarian countries or countries with significant fascist movements, including Hungary, India, the Philippines, and Israel. And this will probably come as a shock to most Americans, but the perception of China is actually improving, in part because other countries view them as a more reliable trading partner, but also because they're defying the neoliberal death spiral of Western countries and actually improving conditions for their people. They have one of the highest rates rates of home ownership in the world, with more than 90% of their population owning their own homes. And just from a governance perspective, they actually punish corporate malfeasance. And by punish, I don't mean a slap on the wrist. Sometimes they put elites to death, as was the case with Yang Yulin, who took more than $300 million in bribes. Now, that's not to say that there aren't concerns when it comes to civil rights and civil liberties, including free speech. We have those concerns here too, by the way. But nobody can deny the fact that Chinese people are now experiencing what we once referred to colloquially as the American dream when it was happening here. And Chinese people now feel pity towards us in the same way that we once felt pity towards them. I say that because a common topic discussed on Chinese social media is just how cruel our for-profit healthcare system is. They have sympathy for us because they can't conceive that our government just lets us die if we don't have healthcare. And on top of that, another thing that they talk about on social media is the American death line, which refers to the grim reality that a majority of Americans are just one crisis away from abject poverty or homelessness. And I think that a lot of Americans still have a really antiquated view of China because of propaganda and also because of how much fear-mongering we're subjected to with regard to the threat of communism. But the media isn't telling us about how the communists are eating our lunch and beating us at our own capitalist game. Aren't they embarrassed by that? Like, I'm not the capitalist, they are, but yet the communists are beating us at capitalism. Make that make sense. Our government literally banned Chinese EVs because they're so much better and more affordable than American cars that U.S. automakers wouldn't be able to compete with them on the free market. Isn't that crazy? Like, doesn't that say something about our system? China also has become a global leader in renewable technology, which we could have been dominant in if we hadn't elected fossil fuel funded Republicans who still
like when I went to Costa Rica, I saw so many BYDs around. It's pretty crazy.
Pretend like climate change isn't real, even though we can see it happening before our very eyes.
Because they're banned here, like he said, right? You can't buy a BYD. And they're probably all in a lot of other countries, right? I know they do very well in terms of sales, so I'm just speaking like anecdotally, right?
So our loss is China's gain. And you know what? Good for them, because we did this to ourselves. But it never occurred to us to learn from other countries because we've
and this is what I always advocate for, right?
Been conditioned to think that we're not only the best country in the world, we're the only country in existence. Hell, we're the center of the universe as far as we're concerned. The only thing that matters to us is us. So we would never bother to learn from other countries because that would require us to acknowledge their existence in the first place. And we sure as shit don't care about what people around the world think of us if we don't even acknowledge their existence. And to the extent that we do, we tell ourselves that they think that we're the best people ever and that we're the envy of the world when they're fucking laughing at us because we look like buffoons. But, you know, like it or not, regardless if we acknowledge it or not, we do have to share a planet with other human beings. And as Martin pointed out in his video, we're kind of despised for our shitty behavior. And he made a follow-up video explaining what we could do to actually improve our reputation around the world.
You guys need to get over your apathy. You need to get out there. You need to protest. You need to get others fired up with enthusiasm, and you need to vote.
Hell yeah.
You need to vote for not just people to change the government, but you
need
to change your system so that this abomination of democracy never occurs again. But it's not just apathy.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
Woo! Thank you, Lucy.
Some of you are
I'll let it
struggling
play.
to put food to mouth.
Woo, woo, woo. Lucy Rosie 20 just dropped a tier 1 gifty sub bomb. Everyone
Thank you,
take cover.
girl. Appreciate it. Love it. Gifted a sub to Big Ben 1701. Cool.
And that is your system that caused it. It is not socialism to have universal health care. It is simply decency. Until you vote for people that are willing to tax the super rich for the sake of the poor bastards that can't get off the floor, you will always be subjugated.
Oh, shit.
Free. It's up to you. The whole world is behind you. the decent world. And we need you to do it because we are suffering from what you have become. Change it, please.
So for our sake and for the sake of the world, we have to get our shit together because we're making our problems everyone else's problem. And that has to stop. That's really unfair. And to expand on what he said, decades and decades of neoliberalism has culminated in a level of income and wealth inequality that is worse than the Gilded Age.
Yep.
Americans continuously voted for politicians who told them that we have to shift the tax burden from rich people to the working class because if rich people made more money, that wealth would trickle down to them. And even though that never happened, Americans never bothered to question it, and they just continued to vote for politicians who told them that it would. It's fucking insane. And they enthusiastically voted for politicians who sold them this line of bullshit. Reaganomics became so popular that Democrats felt like they had to adopt neoliberalism too in order to compete. Bill Clinton governed like a Republican for all intents and purposes and shifted the entire Democratic Party to the right. The party establishment that we're all fighting today are relics of the Clinton era who believe that you have to be a diet Republican to even be electorally viable because they came to prominence in an era where you had to triangulate. You had to pretend to be a Republican who does capitalism better because, you know, the New Deal era was over and giving all the money that we have to rich people was the only way you could do government.
Yeah, that's a really good analysis. I think that's a good way of putting it, right? Like, that era is officially over, guys. And, like, there are various metrics to show that that era is over, right? That might have worked 50 years ago, and I would argue barely, if at all. In terms of electability, yeah, it kind of worked, right? But we've talked about this. I don't want to get into the Bill Clinton fucking James Carville strategy, right? It's shit. But anyway, with that in mind that we've talked about, yeah, like it's not gonna work anymore. Like the system just doesn't work this way, right? Like, sure, you're creating maybe marginal jobs that are okay, but they tend to be very temporary and based off of like the shifting winds of economic investments. And they rely a lot on tax credits and things like that, right? And that's problematic because there's a bunch of reasons, right? We've talked a lot about neoliberalism. But it also just affects things like we were just talking about in chat. Childcare, right? People being like families and stuff, right? Job creators, yeah, well said. Job creators.
That's quintessential neoliberalism. But the problem is that even after decades of neoliberal governance, the American people never had a collective awakening. I mean, maybe that's starting to happen now since the DSA is finally on the rise, but for the most part, we haven't really questioned the system itself in a meaningful way until more recently. Instead of questioning the economic model that we've chosen, a lot of people just fell prey to fascist demagoguery, and they started to actually believe that things are bad because of immigrants and trans people. So we're kind of getting a firsthand lesson in how capitalism devolves into fascism, because in order to reinforce itself, the system has to find a scapegoat for all of the pain and suffering that it caused. Because if the masses began to wake up and realize that it's actually the system and the capitalist class who's really to blame, then, you know, the people might finally target the system and not fall for the scapegoating. So the problem is that, you know, we're not only clueless about who's to blame, we've been conditioned to think that there's no alternative to capitalism because the establishment has spent years demonizing its main alternative, which is socialism or even social democracy. So when you have a population of desperate dumb fucks, it's not hard to understand why they were susceptible to fascism. But us falling into fascism, it's not happening in a vacuum. It's not just an American problem because, as Mark alluded to, the fascists that we've elected are doing what fascists always do, and that's causing shit around the world by maximizing power and wealth in a global conquest. That's exactly what Donald Trump is doing. So if we want to take Martin's advice, then we have to actually start voting for politicians who want to meaningfully address our material conditions. Otherwise, we're going to continue to be vulnerable to the threat of fascism, and thus we will remain a threat to international peace and stability, assuming that we maintain our status as a global hegemon, which is now in question thanks to Donald Trump's antics. Because if the rest of the world really does move away from the dollar as the world reserve currency, then we will lose our prominence like that. Now, not all hope is lost, because there does seem to be a collective awakening happening now, at least within the Democratic Party, where voters are finally choosing socialists over milquetoast neoliberals. But it shouldn't have had to have gotten this bad before socialism finally became viable, because most of the crises that we're experiencing right now, it predates Donald Trump. And we didn't have to elect an authoritarian fascist to find out that far-right policies lead to objectively worse outcomes. I mean, Trump really is the logical conclusion of GOP extremism, but he's not the architect of it. He's doing Project 2025, which they have long wanted. And, you know, what I'm saying here about Republicans producing objectively worse outcomes by their policies, that's not me talking out of my ass. It's not mere conjecture. That's what the data shows. CNBC reports that the top 10 worst states to live in are all Republican-controlled states. That is not a coincidence. These states have a lower quality of life due to higher crime rates, worse air quality, less healthcare access, little to no worker protections, and a lack of civil rights protections. And think about why things are so bad in these red states. Crime is higher because they deny the scientific realization that crime is a socioeconomic issue. And if you don't have a social safety net to protect people from abject poverty, you're going to have a higher crime rate, because poverty is a root cause of crime. And if you're going to deregulate and let corporations pollute your state, of course, that's going to be detrimental to the health and well-being of the people that you represent. Now, that's not to say that blue states don't have their share of problems, because they absolutely do, but it's almost always because they're embracing some of the neoliberal policies that make Republican states so miserable to live in. Because in a late-stage capitalist system, you're expected to at least meet Republicans halfway in order to be considered reasonable or politically viable. And, you know, you also have to kind of kowtow to corporate America if you want to avoid the wrath of the oligarchy. So that's why a lot of Democrats do that. And also because they're capitalists themselves who stand to benefit from the current system that we have. In fact, the red states with the worst outcomes are often lauded for being the most pro-business, even if they're the worst fucking places to live. Just listen to Laura Ingraham of Fox News talk about this.
Now, check out this recent list. 650 CEOs were polled, and they rated the best states in which to do business. The top 10, including Texas, Florida, Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, are Republican. They're run by Republicans, except Virginia, which is at number 10, and North Carolina, kind of a purple state, at number 5. So money and people, resources, are pouring into red states. So how do the socialists brush this off? Well, they do so either by ignoring it or distorting the data, or with a little help from their friends. This CNBC report just comes out. They listed the 10 worst states to live in for 2026. All the states on this list, okay, Trump won. Every state except Georgia in 2020. And the list included 4 of the top 10 states for business. How does that make any sense?
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
If your governance philosophy necessitates that you prioritize profits over people,
Fuck
you're
you,
going
Laura.
to cultivate a state that is worse to live in. The wealth that these corporations generate by ravaging your state isn't going to trickle down to the people. That's a myth.
Yeah.
Letting them destroy your environment and
Well
cutting
said.
welfare programs to finance more corporate subsidies is going to make your state a worse state to live in by design. CEOs might be thrilled. You know, they are, according to that poll that she cited, but regular people are not going to be thrilled. But lucky for capitalists, Americans never think to blame the capitalist neoliberal policies for their pain and suffering. Instead, they blame black and brown people. And I love how Laura is insinuating that CNBC is some ally to socialists when they are the opposite. They're an ally to capital. And they're only talking about quality of life and taking that into account because conditions have gotten so poor for regular people in some states that it threatens capital, which makes sense because who's going to buy the things that capitalists want us to buy if everybody is so sick and poor? It's like capitalism is eating itself. But this is the problem. Even though Laura Ingraham is an actress, a lot of Americans really are as ignorant as she was pretending to be. And unfortunately, the rest of the world has to suffer for our self-inflicted misery. We elected a fascist who's ravaging the world because we thought that he'd bring down the cost of eggs a little bit or some shit. And now everybody else has to suffer. The people in Iran didn't get a vote. Now they have to suffer. The people in Cuba didn't get a vote. Now they have to suffer. The fishermen getting bombed indiscriminately by Donald Trump illegally, might I add, have to suffer, and they didn't get a vote. I think that's fucked up. This is why people hate us. But here's the thing. To Martin's point, we really do have a chance to turn things around. As much as the establishment bitches and moans about socialists, the truth is that they're throwing us a lifeline. They're pitching an actual alternative to late-stage capitalism. And the midterms are going to be a test of how much the American people are willing to change, whether or not we're too far gone, quite frankly. Because after 2 years of fascism and global terrorism, Americans are largely going to get a choice between doubling down on that or healthcare and a livable wage. In Michigan, for example, Dr. Abdul El-Sayed is offering voters Medicare for all, while the Republican Mike Rogers is offering voters fuck all. So Medicare for all versus fuck all. It's an easy choice, if you ask me. And actually, saying that he's offering them fuck all is too charitable.
It's too charitable to...
Because in actuality, he's offering more Trumpian policies that are going to make things worse. So a better analogy would be if I offered you $100 or a kick in the balls. You'd want to take the $100, right?
Yeah, it's like the analogy I made before with the... Here are my options. Take the claw in the face, roll in the ground, and die. Or dodge the claw and take him out, right? Should have gone with a B, but we didn't. We went with A. Great.
Well, that's not the case for every American. You know, they might be interested in the $100, but they're going to ask, well, who else is getting kicked in the balls? Are you going to...
But basically, yeah. That's what's going on. Why? Reasons. Congrats, you made the streaker board. I think you were already on it, but we're like at... It's like 145, 220, right? 215, so you're right below there. Fuck this. Fuck this. Basket of puppies versus murder all puppies. Exactly. But I mean, it's a good analogy because for some reason we're the only country in the world, or one of the only countries, that is like, well, who else got kicked in the balls? Or who else's puppies got murdered? Why is that relevant? Yeah, oh my god. Like, and this is a competitive race. That's the sad part, right? I wouldn't be totally shocked if he lost. I don't want him to lose, right? But I'm just saying, I wouldn't be totally shocked if he lost. Because, yeah, it's that bad.
Kick immigrants and black people in the balls too, because I'd get more pleasure watching them get kicked in the balls than I would from the $100 myself, even if it means I'm also going to get kicked in the balls. You have millions and millions of people who would happily cut off their noses to spite their own motherfucking faces in this country. But if Americans were so desperate that they literally voted for a fascist, one would think that since they're even more desperate now, they'd logically opt for the polar opposite of fascism, assuming that pendulum theory holds. But if they don't do that, if they don't vote for the alternative to fascism after experiencing it for 2 years themselves, then I think it's safe to say that we really are a lost cause. There's going to be no hope for us. That'll be the conclusion from everybody around the world watching, because it'll demonstrate to them that we really are incapable of learning our lesson. And the best outcome for the rest of the world in that case is going to hope for our downfall, hope for our global influence to continue to wane, so that way we no longer pose a threat to international peace and stability.
Said.
And also, the hope is...
I had to reset Gloggy because there was an update. Oh. He's replaying right now.
Going to be that, we destroy ourselves as quickly as possible to the point where we're incapacitated and can no longer pose a threat to the rest of humanity. That may sound like a bleak conclusion to us, but I don't think it's unreasonable for people around the world to have that take if we continue to fuck up the rest of the world and just ruin things for the rest of humanity. And look, I can't blame them for feeling this way. We're not the only country on Earth, and the rest of the world shouldn't be held back because of the leaders that we elect. They have no...
This is what really pisses me off and makes me feel like it's just pretty hopeless, right? Like the rest of the world doesn't even get a vote on the leaders in this country.
Grey Haster reached 215 stream streak 2 minutes ago. Many Australians have been supporting Canada with its Elbows Up campaign against the USA. Canada has supported Australia with the May a Dingo Eat Your Baby USA. Comcast is not playing both sides. It is a supporting community for everyone. That is why Comcast sells bras and jock straps, because they are both equipment that silently supports the people that wear them. So what are you waiting for? Support yourself, be subscribing and wearing Comcast.
We support our viewers by using jock straps and bra. Oh my god. You're so funny, dog. Oh, fuck yeah. Thank you for the 215 stream streak. What up? Put it away, dog. Put it away.
Hey, and yet we keep doing things that negatively affect everybody else. So I sincerely appreciate people around the world rooting for those of us who aren't complete and utter dipshits, but I can't blame anybody who's less than charitable towards us, because I don't know if I would have that much sympathy for a population of people that repeatedly decided to shoot itself in the dick and then brag about how smart and brave they are for shooting themselves in the dick.
Yeah. All right.
What's up, y'all?
And then we got this. This is what I also wanted to talk about. The new FBI letters. Crazy. I mean, we kind of already knew it, but let's get some more of the details from our boy. This is why having Trump leaving office will not change how the world views and deals with it. Yeah, I think there's a lot of cope in this country, especially the libs, right? There's a lot of libs who think, oh, once we just get rid of Trump, everything will be over. You got rid of him once, and you failed. Nah, bitch. We're taking over this motherfucker, right? And when I mean we, I mean the DSA and all the candidates that have been winning. Trump could be laughed off an anomaly, but twice there is a problem. Exactly. Yeah. Like, well fucking said. Like, this is... And you know, I made this point before I even started streaming to my friends. I'm like, if he wins this election, we, as like our reputation, will be permanently scarred. Right? And boy, have we sped to that fucking future. Yeah, that was... You like that, Lucy?
Welcome to the show. Hope everybody out there is having an awesome day. In just a second here, man, we have yet another colossal Epstein bombshell that nobody is talking about, but I'm banging my head against the wall because
Me too.
Everybody should be talking about this one. This is insane, the stuff that we just learned. So I'm going to break that down for you in a second. We also have Trump continues to shoot himself in his
dick?
tiny little micro penis.
Yeah.
Because the fact that he has no filter anymore is leading him to accidentally say the quiet part out loud, and it is getting catastrophic for his poll numbers. It's getting catastrophic for people's perception of him. So wait until you hear the new psychotic quotes that he's casually saying. Also, we now are in the position where MAGA's polling is the worst of any movement in history. The collapse of MAGA is the worst polling collapse in the history of polling.
Oh, collapse. Okay. So it's not the worst movement in history. It's the worst collapse in terms of like overall approval in history. If we're to like believe the exact words, right? It could be hyperbole because it is Kyle, but still, let's be fair, right? Also, like, how would you gauge that before polling, right? Like, how would you gauge that with the Nazis? Or, I don't know, like, the Khmer Rouge or something, right?
Cannot wait to break that down for you. We also...
I think he means by polling. Like, see, this is why you're talking about, you're analyzing the words, right? I think he means by, as far as we know in terms of polling, right? So there you go. But I'm sure like the Khmer Rouge was, not exactly too popular in 1974 or whatever.
So have Stavros Halkias just absolutely cooks Joe Rogan without even trying or even mentioning his name. That's tremendous. And then also later on,
the Spanish Inquisition was that popular, right? Torquemada. Oh God, I actually like learned about him a few years ago. Jose de Torquemada, right? And boy, was that motherfucker evil. Jesus, guys. Literally a self-hating Jew, right?
we have Oliver Larkin is leading to stage 5 meltdowns among right-wing pro-Israel TV hosts. So you love to see it. Also, by the way, hey man, election day, get out there.
No one expects it. No one expects the Spanish Inquisition. Yeah, he was in charge of it, right? That was so crazy. And yeah, no, I mean, what was crazy is that he was like a Jewish convert, right? So there's definitely some like, even back in the 1400s, right? There is definitely some cognitive dissonance, or what is that, self-hatred, or it's just something that occurs, right? And I think we as like humans have to be aware of this and actively target people like that, right? So either mental health resources or, right, whatever that is. I'm old age, I had to say it. Yeah. But yeah, like the motherfucker was pure evil. Oh my God. If you read up on him, or there's a really good documentary on him as well. Nobody really remembers. No, like you ask the average person who he is. I didn't even know who he was until like fucking like a couple years back, right? So yeah, it's nuts, guys.
If you're in Florida, get your ass out there. Vote for Elijah Manley. Vote for Oliver Larkin.
Hell yeah.
Vote for Angie Nixon. Look, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. These are difficult districts. These are very difficult races. But you know, you run through the tape, bro. Run through the tape. Get out there and do your civic duty and try to get
We're gonna cover that tonight,
our leading
so.
lefties across the finish line. So you guys know the drill, man. Everybody do me a big favor and subscribe to the channel. You can also click that bell icon so you get a notification every single time a video drops. Also, support the show on Patreon. Thank you to everybody who does support the show on Patreon. We could not do the show without you. Remember, this is real independent media. I've never talked to an advertiser, never done an ad read, never will. You guys made that possible by giving $1 a month or $2 a month or $5 a month. So thanks again from the bottom of my heart. Also, sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. Bro, we are working on some juicy guests, bro. I'm just going to say that. We're working on some juicy guests, and hopefully we're able to get them because it would be something special if we do. But sign up below on Substack for what we have coming up, and go sub to Corin's World and come hang out with us live on Monday nights. And with that being said, let's jump right in. So, on Friday, I did a live video for you where I broke down this new massive Epstein bombshell that came out, okay? So to refresh your memory on this, take a look. Look at this from the Leah files. She says, the government just gave a charity being sued for sex trafficking a $244 million no-bid contract to provide lawyers to migrant kids. Put it out Friday night with no announcement. They are keeping this quiet, and for good reason. It's the Sound of Freedom charity, Our Rescue, formerly known as Operation Underground Railroad. They have 0 immigration lawyers, 0 federal contracts ever, and their lifetime federal history is 1 transaction, this one. So stop and think about that. A group that is under investigation for sex trafficking, just got a $244 million no-bid contract from the Trump regime to provide a service that they've hired nobody to do that service. How insane is that?
Oh my God.
So they go, oh yeah, this is for migrant
What
lawyers for
the
kids or whatever.
fuck?
And then you dig into it and they haven't hired anybody that's a lawyer for migrant kids. None of them. If they're trying to do a cover-up and they're trying to get away with some shit here, it's the worst cover-up in the world because you guys are caught. Like, you guys are caught red fucking handed. So they say the kids' real lawyers, the government owed them $65 million and refused to pay unless they handed over the children's confidential files. They refused and their contract died. I spent 2 days following the money and it's dark. A Dubai shell company, the founder's family on the payroll, contractors listed as anonymous individuals, and a DC company registered 13 months before the contract with the CEO named as beneficial owner. They knew. So she has a full investigation on her Substack.
It quite literally is.
And I dug a little deeper, and the Salt Lake Tribune also has a piece talking about the same thing here. So I don't know why this isn't bigger. I don't know why this hasn't made it to most of the mainstream media outlets, but we're looking at a situation here where the Trump regime is handing out nearly $250 million, potentially involved in the child sex trafficking. Okay? It's not like this is a oopsie, our bet. No, it looks like they're involved in it. That's what it looks like to me. I've been telling you guys, the thing we have to look out for the most when it comes to the Epstein files is Donald J. Trump, the president of the United States, one of the 10 Epstein co-conspirators? And this, among many other things, leads me to believe he might be an actual Epstein co-conspirator. But more on that in a second, because it's going to get even darker, okay? I also told you this on Friday. New FBI documents released via the Freedom of Information Act show the Department of Justice had a document flag list when it began reviewing Epstein files last year. There are 16 entries that are simply marked POTUS. So these things, basically redacted, simply marked POTUS, okay? Explicitly, hey, the reason we're holding this back is because the President of the United States is implicated. This should surprise nobody because, as you all know, he was in the Epstein files literally over 1 million times. His name is mentioned more in the Epstein files than Jesus' name is mentioned in the Bible, y'all. That's a fact. Another fact is when they only released 1 or 2% of the Epstein files, he was already listed in that bitch 38,000 times. But it gets worse. So here we go. We have a little segment here on CNN, Tap Jaker's show, and they're discussing the Epstein files. They say the following.
And some of this is handwritten notes from the FBI agents interviewing victims and also potentially even perpetrators, right?
Well, the FBI handwritten notes implicate Donald Trump.
FBI
I love how Kyle
notes,
calls him that.
Redacted.
Tab Jaker.
Directly implicating Donald J. Trump. Directly implicating them. What the DOJ hasn't produced. Handwritten notes FBI took during witness interviews, files in foreign languages, and explanations of redactions. But handwritten notes directly implicating Donald Trump.
Secret why they're doing this dance at the DOJ to not release them. They are handwritten notes by 4 different meetings with a victim who alleges when she was 13 she was sexually abused by Donald Trump. That's the
Katie Johnson. This is the Katie Johnson allegation. Ladies and gentlemen, finish watching this segment, but as soon as you're done watching this segment, do yourself a favor. Type in Secular Talk Katie Johnson into the YouTube search bar and watch your mind get blown. Because there was a literal video of her where she told her story with her face, censored.
Yeah, we watched this.
A hotel.
Oh my God.
Where she was suing Epstein and Trump back in 2016. And she eventually dropped the case. The speculation is she dropped the case because she was either paid to drop it, right? Like settled out of court, paid to drop it, or she was threatened. Okay? But she has a detailed story about what Trump did to her, what Epstein did to her, how she was trafficked, how Trump has a nipple torture fetish, how Trump directly raped her and another underage girl that she was with. Okay? It's all out there. Nobody ever talks about it, but it's all out there. Go
Trump
look at the Katie
and
Johnson allegations.
Hell no. I don't want to see
We
that.
covered it on Secular Talk. We
I
went
can't
through
even picture
virtually
that.
the entire interview, and I responded point for point. This is already out there, and again, it is criminally under-discussed. But now you have CNN alluding to it. And what did they do? They specifically tried to redact the handwritten letters from the Katie Johnson interview with the FBI. It's a specific cover-up over the Katie Johnson allegations.
Yeah.
That's what this is. By the way, the plot's going to thicken even more in a second. But CNN now is talking about the Katie Johnson allegations.
Who alleges when she was 13 she was sexually abused by Donald Trump. That's the allegation. Now, the actual 302s, the official FBI reports, they've been turned over. After much hullabaloo and pushing by media, they were turned over. Why aren't you turning over these handwritten notes? Well, today, the prosecution said, well, you know what? They're duplicative. That's the first time they've ever said it. Before they said it was substantially similar to the 302. So what did the judge do today? He said that the handwritten notes must be turned over in camera, unredacted, so that he can check them out.
I told you he likes. Yeah, no, you're so right, Blue Room. Welcome back, Blue Room. How you doing, buddy? Oh, Blue Room, I love you, man. Thank you so much yesterday for what you said. That really was very touching. I really appreciate it. You were like, Gus has so many green flags. I really appreciate that, dog. You're the man. Love you. You're such a good member of this community. I love you for that. Like I feel like you've just joined and you really like joined. Like you're really like becoming an integral part. Shout out to Blue Room. He doesn't stream, but shout out. Love you, buddy.
Continue to refuse to give them to the court.
And of course, President Trump denies any wrongdoing having to do with the Epstein files.
As he does.
Yes, as he does. Thank you so much, Katie.
It's all coming out. This is the definition of what's called a limited hangout. They released about 50% of the Epstein files, which is millions of documents, but they're still hiding the most damning parts. That's what you need to understand. They give you a little bit, and then they take out the most damaging stuff. They're still...
I've been lurking since you started talking, but I've been doing chores. Oh, you heard? Yeah, I was a little late because of my sister had a baby. Yeah.
Hiding this stuff. They're still trying to hide it. Well, guess what? We have one of the documents floating around now. It was posted by the DOJ, perhaps accidentally.
Woo!
Okay.
Love
Jim
you
Stewardson
guys
says,
too. I know we're so awesome. Love you guys. Oh my God. Oh, thank you so much. No, seriously, man, it was very touching. It's like I remember when you guys say stuff like that, and like, or when you're super kind to the community, and like it just like, I don't always say it, but when I do, I'm lurking while cleaning. Hell yeah, there you are, me and you too. Welcome back. Congrats on being an uncle. I feel so weird. Uncle Gus. Jesus.
Wow, this is all very specific.
I cleaned today too. Ally in HD, you did? Everyone's cleaning. I gotta clean too, but probably tomorrow because I'm tired after this stream, especially. But yeah, I gotta do some cleaning.
And he's pointing to, this is one of the handwritten letters that was being held back by the FBI. More on it in a second because it's very hard to read if you just go through it like this. Okay. Someone at the DOJ is definitely getting fired for forgetting to redact Donald Trump's name from this file. So again, handwritten. So what does it say? Jeffrey Epstein, my testimony places Donald Trump as a person involved in the sale of young women to sex trafficking ring of Jeffrey Epstein and the Saudis.
Gus. Yeah.
Let me repeat that. Handwritten letter to the FBI. My testimony places Donald Trump as a person involved in the sale of young women to the sex trafficking ring of Jeffrey Epstein and the Saudis. What did I tell you? What did I tell you? The major bombshell that it appears like they're hiding is that Donald J. Trump is one of the 10 Epstein co-conspirators. Let me ask you, how many of the 10 co-conspirators were arrested, were locked up,
None.
have cases on them? The answer is literally zero. This is the biggest...
None, because he knows that if he does, that they'll rat him out. And, like, that makes sense, right? Oh, can we get a plea and then we'll say, okay, well, I know of the others and I'll tell you information on them because I was with them or whatever, right? That's what's going on here. 100%. Yeah. Hell yeah. I'm so behind on this shit. Same here, man. Same here. I gotta do so much cleaning. It's just, like, I've been working on Gloggy, the stream, and all this stuff, and like, I'm trying to also enjoy the weather and be outside a little more. So, like, the last thing I want to do is, like, clean. But I really have to do it. Hell yeah, virtual bodies doubled. Doubles.
Cover-up in U.S. government history. I think it's fair to call this the biggest cover-up in U.S. government history. Every single Epstein co-conspirator they are protecting, because they're all part of the billionaire robber baron cabal. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is going after Letitia James and James Comey and Don Lemon and some guy who put his hand in the reflecting pool and did nothing wrong. All of them, throw the book at them.
Yep.
But God forbid you actually traffic little girls, well, you're free to go. No problem whatsoever. The pedophile president's going to protect you. Till his dying breath, he's going to be there to protect you. It is incredible. Okay, but I'm still not done. Here's what the other note says.
Ducky, did you make an account? All you have to do is sign into your fucking Twitch account on 7TV. That's all you got to do, girl. It's really that simple. You don't have to do anything else. So I can add you on the 7TV. Editors. Blue Room. Where's the other one? Oh yeah, PP and Jam. Nephews and nieces, I assume, are the best.
Donald Trump can stand in the driveway and have a clear view of me naked and on my knees on the mattress. Donald Trump says, "You said she is pregnant. She doesn't look pregnant." George says she is. My dad took her to Army doctor, and he estimates she's 2.5 months pregnant. Trump asks, is she on drugs? George said yes. Trump said, we don't like for them to be pregnant because we lose money. Trump said, we don't like for them to be pregnant because we lose money. A doctor, Mike could cause her to miscarry, or if the child is good looking, whether we could sail the baby. You said she is religious. The Saudis like the religious ones. We'll figure it out. You will take her. Holy fucking shit.
What the
It's all coming
fuck?
out. Listen, I'm one of very few voices that has been following this from the beginning, documenting it from the beginning, went through the Epstein files as they came out, and people are just now beginning to open their eyes to the fact that Jeffrey Epstein is on an audio tape saying that he was Trump's best friend for a decade. People are just now beginning to realize that Trump was on Epstein's plane at least 8 times that we know of, and that he did go to the island. People are just now beginning to realize that the first time that Trump and Melania had sex was allegedly on the Lolita Express, which was Epstein's pedophile plane.
Holy shit.
People are
looking over Gus' shoulder. You love that. I can't believe I've been on Twitch for a year and I haven't found that out. That's such a cool feature, right? Loggy, what is body doubling? Body doubling is like when having a ghost buddy who vibes with you. Well, I didn't know what that meant. Cool. I was wondering what that meant. So you don't bail on stuff that... Oh, I didn't... So that's cool. Okay. I'm going to start using that. For real. Imagine the worst thing and the reality is always worse. Yeah. It's a cool thing. Yeah, it's very cool.
We're just now beginning to realize that Epstein knew the inner workings of Trump's first White House, and that he was clearly being fed information and a potential partner of Trump, and they were co-conspirators working together. Trump and Epstein literally shared a girlfriend. They shared a girlfriend. Trump was outed as having a nipple torture fetish. We learned in the Epstein files that Trump assaulted someone in Ivanka's bedroom in 1993 with her husband in the next room. And Epstein emailed Michael Wolff that. Yep. Okay? All of this is now coming out. But it's crazy to me how so much of this has not been focused on by our media. I mean, we got a little bit of focus when, what was it, the New York Times released how Trump wrote a creepy love letter to Epstein on his birthday, you know, basically implying that they're both pedophiles, right? But the deeper and darker secrets are now coming to light because As I told you from the beginning, Epstein learned human trafficking from Trump's teenage modeling agency. By the way,
guys, and I told you this story. I don't know a lot about it because I don't think we were affiliated with it. But John Casablanca was a sex trafficker with this kind of, right, agency as well. Well, little do we know.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey
I mentioned
Epstein?
this.
This guy's been talked about for years.
What's up, Big Bean Burrito? Yeah, what's up? How you doing? I revealed that my parents put me in a modeling school, and guess what it was called? John Casablanca's. Now, I never had any of this, but I literally went to a school called that. Yeah, Long Island girls were known as Casablanca. Interesting, see? So it was an affiliate of that, which is crazy. Is that the mob school of hairdressing? Yeah, basically. No, it was a modeling school. You just learned how to like do certain things in terms of like for male modeling and stuff. Welcome back, Gonzo. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you again.
Why?
You and Blue Room had like the same exact color. It's so funny. How you been? How's your day been so far? Yeah, so this stuff is crazy, guys. Like, what the hell, right? Luckily, that wasn't me, or like I wasn't being raped, but like I don't know enough about it, right? It was a pretty, like, they shut it down. So maybe that wasn't the reason they shut it down as well. I don't know, right? Sounds sus. Yeah, it's very sus, right? Because if you're connected with that, and again, I was like 15 years old or whatever the fuck when I got enrolled. It didn't really help do much, right? So like it was a waste of money, but like my parents just wanted me to do stuff to get experience, right? So I appreciate it. But Epstein did some stuff with kids at the Fancy Fine Arts boarding school here in Michigan. I haven't read about it much. You know, the heavy. Yeah, it was probably like a front for like, if I'm being honest, right? It was probably a front to get people to be more like, to see it as like a legitimate operation, right? And maybe occasionally they would have taken like the appropriate girls that these people love, little girls, mind you, right? That's the key word. And then moved them to like the New York office, right? So it's sort of like a network, right? It doesn't mean they're all doing it maybe all in the same locations, right? In every location they have a John Casablanca's, but like definitely like they have the eyes and the legitimacy, the ears there, all that stuff, right? Vulnerable kids. Yeah, exactly. Like it was a way to keep tabs in Boston while seeming legitimate and then also going after vulnerable kids, right? I didn't count as a vulnerable kid, and I'm probably not exactly their demographic because it looks like they went for little girls mostly. So I just added legitimacy to the whole thing, right? Plus it's income, right? So that's probably what happened there. And they did shut it down a few years ago, which is hilarious because this is when that stuff started blowing up. And I didn't put one and one together until I heard that name. Gus is a model. My blue steel I've been working on it for 15 years, Blue Room. My blue steel. Vulnerable kids. No, it's real kids. It's real. It's a real school and camp. Toxic environment, though. Yeah. So, like, I mean, but I mean, it's associated with him, right? And he is like, according to according to that shit, if they're allowed to use his name, I'm assuming it's because they had something to do with it. Simply Kiki, you caught us when we were talking about modeling and fucking pedo schools. Jesus, how you doing, Simply Kiki? No teeth, girl. Watch it. Watch it.
Is it not a bigger deal that Trump was on Howard Stern back in the day and he said, oh yeah, since I own Miss Teen USA, I walk into the dressing room as they're naked and I can get away with that because I own the place. Literally bragging about perving out and creeping on teenage girls changing in a dressing room. And people didn't pound the gavel in and go, oh, okay, well that settles it. He's a pedophile. Nobody did that. Insane. What about those private events that were hosted at Mar-a-Lago where it was Trump and one other person, Jeffrey Epstein? What about those? We have Michael Wolff, who said that there was a picture Epstein showed him of Trump with a stain on his pants with two girls, one of them bent over, pointing at him and laughing. As if to say he like nutted in his pants with these girls of an uncertain age. That's a direct quote from Michael Wolff. Nutted in his pants, and there's a fucking picture of it. By the way, you wonder why Israel gets literally anything and everything they want from Donald J. Trump. Because Epstein was Mossad, and that means there's a thick folder of all of these crimes that Trump was engaged in, right? And Netanyahu, all he has to do is hold that over Trump's head. You're going to do our bidding. You're going to attack Iran. You're going to do X, Y, and Z. Because if you don't, maybe the video of you with Katie Johnson will come out. You wouldn't want that to happen now, would you? I don't think you want that to happen now, would you? I don't know why I'm the only one that talks about. In 2011, Trump spent hours at Epstein's house with an Epstein victim, and you have a literal email directly from Epstein talking to somebody and saying, Trump's at the house right now with one of the victims, and he's been there for hours. So that means, because we know all of Epstein's houses were bugged, that means there are definitely pictures and videos of him with underage girls. But I'll tell you what, the fact that these letters are now coming out and what they say is honestly leading me to believe that even everything that is accused on the FBI intake forms, that those are even likely to be true. Okay? So, for example, the Dallas limo driver who said that Trump talked to Epstein on the phone about abusing girls. The guy said, I wanted to pull over and beat the shit out of him, overhearing that phone call that he had with Epstein. Okay? Or all the stories about, what was it? He had a riverboat casino in Lake Michigan called the Trump Princess.
Ew. I've seen some of his Epstein deep dive streams. Wild stuff. Oh, really? He has like a software database for the Epstein files. It's easily searchable format. I've been meaning to get to on the team and volunteer document thing, but I've been busy. Yeah. Also, remember to send me that stuff for Maple Takes. Or to send me the DM for that stuff, because I'd love to. I'm pretty new to developing an extension for Twitch, but I just want to make like a Gustx extension, right? To do all our games, to do all our, like, maybe even notifications, right? Stuff like that. It should be a lot of fun. I need a little work with it, because I've just never done it before, right? It's a little convoluted for me. Oh fuck yeah, I just read the Epsteins attended their fine arts camp when he was a teen. Yeah. I'm great. I'm having breakfast now. What are you having for breakfast, girl? Oh, look at that. Fucking love it. Big Ben said Lucy was lurking from the raid. Thanks for the gifted sub. Oh, look at that, Lucy. Big Ben thanked you. Awesome. You're welcome, dog. Yeah, now you get access to our emotes. That's our boy Gloggy. He's our mascot here. He's an adorable treasure goblin who collects not gold or swords or gems or any of that stuff, but political merch. There you go. Shouting Josephus! What up? How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Yeah, I gotta work on the achievements tomorrow. I really gotta work on the achievements tomorrow because they're not showing up. Again, that too, so. Welcome in. Hell yeah, we're very friendly here, Big Ben. So make yourself comfortable, and we predominantly talk about politics, right? But we also have fun here, so welcome to the Gustx broadcast. Oh my god, guys. I'm okay. Hope you're having a good day. I'm having tonkanasu right now. Yeah, but that's Japanese, girl. What? You can't be doing that. Fuck. I'm joking. Oh, look at that, Big Ben. I'm new too. This extension is open source, so it should prove scaffolding from the start. Yeah, I think I just need the basics, right? Because I can do all the HTML stuff myself, but it would be really helpful to have all that stuff, like, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing, right? But I want to do that for you guys, because then I feel like this would elevate the community, right? So yeah, Big Ben, you can activate Gloggy to say just about anything, so he pops up when somebody has wants to basically say something or introduce us like a topic, or even funnier, interrupt my ass and say something totally goofy. But it's so stinky. Yeah, it's very sad. No, it's not. I'm pretty sure it is. Fun. Yeah, it is. Tokenatsu is a type of Japanese cutlet made from pork. See? I know, because I learned about it in Persona 4. Or 5, sorry. Not pork. Yeah, I know, but there's different versions of it, right? Panko. Yeah, panko is another thing that is from Japan, right? Pan is the Japanese, is the Portuguese word for bread. And panko is like bread flakes, right? That's where they got the idea from the Portuguese, who were like the only Europeans that they allowed to trade in Japan. Yeah. Hell yeah, Big Ben! Yeah, there's a lot of familiars, it seems like, in here. That's awesome. Good for you. I'm glad you guys are like also connected. That's awesome. Let's see. Yeah, so hell yeah.
Strategy Member just got a 45-day stream streak. www.watt@at45. Still no 420.
Fuck yeah. Still no 420, I guess. Facts. Rated for Mr. Mumbles. Yeah, Mr. Mumbles and we know each other. He lives in Rhode Island. I live right next door. Yeah. He's good peeps. I think I forgot to say hello. I'm not sure. Yeah, no worries. Say hello, everyone. No, the Dutch were the only ones to trade with the Portuguese. The Spanish traded with them. Yep, it was the Portuguese were like, the crown went to Spain, and the Spaniards, the Portuguese, one country for a while, right? We're the only ones to trade with them initially, and then they got kicked out because of Christianity. Yeah, but like they were the first ones. That's where the word panko comes from, right? Panko literally means pan means bread in Portuguese and Spanish, right? Yeah, there you go. The Japanese first learned to make baked bread from the Portuguese. So it wasn't the Dutch, it was the Portuguese. The word panko is derived from pan, which means literally bread in both Portuguese and Spanish, giving the word bread from Japanese. They literally took the word from Spanish and Portuguese, right? So the ko is the kanji indicating flour or coating, crumb, powder. Yeah. So I love panko, honestly. It's really good. So really good. I fucking love it. Yeah. I learned that in Japanese high school. Yeah, exactly. But that was the thing. And bread, yeah, in French too. It's a Latin derivative, right? So, but like that's where they learned it from, right? So the Portuguese were really the first to open up, or at least get the Japanese to be like, hey, can we trade? And they were like, fine. They did get kicked out later on because of Christianity. Jesus. But that's because of bigotry, right? I should keep cleaning a bit. I won't be far from the keyboard though. All right, word. Keep it up. Big Ben, welcome again. Glad you're here. Make yourself at home.
And there were stories of Trump allegedly graping a girl named Dusty in the year 2000 from Oklahoma, and she was found with her head blown off, and the authorities thought that it wasn't suicide. And then allegedly this Trump Princess Riverboat was used to like literally dump bodies out there, in Lake Michigan. Look, I'm telling you what's on. The intake forms are crazy. There's a lot of fucking intake forms with some crazy ass shit.
Oh, for
real. That's
real.
viewed as like the first thing you would do if you have a claim against somebody is you put on the FBI intake form and you give it to them, and then they are supposed to look deeper into it. And at first, there were a lot of those things, this one doesn't add up, this one doesn't add up, etc., right? But now, the more you see, now what we're learning is Trump was allegedly an Epstein co-conspirator, and he was directly selling girls to Epstein and to the fucking Saudis.
The Portuguese were like the master traders. The master traders. Their like empire was predominantly like very trade oriented, and it did kind of fall off because the Dutch did better later on. But yeah, like the Portuguese were like the trading empire for a long time. Yeah, I believe
it's the business giants and the government officials who make all the real money. We have whatever they kick down to us. My enemy is not the average white man. It's not the kid down the block or the kids I see on the street. My enemy is the white man I don't see. The people in the White House, the corporate monopoly owners, fake liberal politicians, those are my enemies. The generals of the armies that are mostly conservative, those are the real motherfuckers that I need to bring it to.
For real, for real. I love the RFK voice. I'm so glad I added all these voices. I still have to add a bunch of other ones. There's like a really interesting one that sounds like Smog the Dragon. Or sounds like a dragon. But I don't know if it would work really well for Gloggy. I'd have to see. I think I'm just gonna do it. I like really interesting voices. I don't like the like basic, hello, my name is Daniel, right? That's just lame. So it takes a lot of time because I gotta clip the voices and get the samples for them, but it does make Gloggy more interesting. Actually, does anyone remember what was the voice that I was supposed to clip that I mentioned like last week? Does anyone remember? It sounds like Bendy but Cumbersnatch. Yeah. I mentioned it, that there was like a really interesting voice or like a really funny voice that I should just like clip. If anyone remembers, let me know in chat because I totally forgot.
So now all of a sudden, all that other crazy stuff that they were accusing him of.
Oh, Haley Stevens. Wait, was it Haley Stevens? God, was it her? I think it was. We're getting close, Ducky.
Maybe that's possible too. Maybe a lot of that other stuff is possible too. Anything is possible when Jeffrey Epstein literally had a drawer at his home that had exclusively pictures of Trump and his family in it. What does that tell you? If the #1 world's most infamous, notorious pedophile...
Do we know when it was? No, it was like last week, and I forgot to write it down because I don't have anything to write it down here for. And we just got distracted because things got crazy, as they do here.
Child sex trafficker.
That's not good news. Yeah. I'll remember it eventually. Fuck.
Full drawer.
It was a funny voice, and I had to clip it so I could add it to the Gloggy repertoire of voices, because he has a bunch of voices now, right?
With nothing but your pictures and your family's pictures and documents about you. Epstein knew about all of the financing at Mar-a-Lago, including mortgage fraud that they were committing. What does it say that they were that close? What does it say?
Real.
Mar-a-Lago was subpoenaed in the Ghislaine Maxwell investigation because they thought it was the hub of the child sex trafficking. And this is the president of the United States of America right now. So, massive bombshell. Share this far and wide. This should honestly, chill everybody to their core, what we're witnessing here. But the president of the United States is without a doubt a black male pedophile, okay? And the extent of the crimes go above and beyond what anybody in their wildest imagination thought possible. Now go ahead. You go tune into Joe Rogan and whoever else is still part of the right-wing MAGA cuck sphere and see if they're talking about this. See if they're telling you the truth about Epstein and Trump. See if they're not going to do that. They're going to fucking hide it because they're part of that Epstein class. And now
I have one. Actually, I added a new feature. Hold on, let me see. This should work too. Portuguese had huge perfumes, medicines, and incense monopolies in Asia from 1600s to the 1700s before the British East India Company ever took over. Well said, Big Ben. Yeah. That's what I mean. They were the first real colonial trade empire, right? They cared more about that kind of resource trading all around the world, right? I mean, I guess they all kind of did that, but the Portuguese, that's what they were really known for, right? Goa, right? India. They had the city of Goa for a long time. They had that one port in Nagasaki, I think it was, right? Which was the only European nation that they traded with for the longest time. So. I remember reading that, so. Yeah. The first affiliation between Portugal and Japan started in 1543, okay? This was before fucking the Netherlands was even a country, okay? When Portuguese explorers landed on the southern archipelago of Japan, becoming the first Europeans to reach Japan. There you go, right? They arrived in Tanegashima. I think that's how you say. I'm so bad at pronouncing certain Japanese names. Ruled by Tanegashima Tokinata, who quickly acquired Portuguese firearms, which they were really good at making, right? And ordered local smiths to copy them, which they're good at doing, beginning the spread of guns throughout Japan. As soon as the first Portuguese arrived in 1543, Portuguese trader merchants began looking for trading opportunities in Japan. This period of time is often entitled the Naban trade. Oh, that's what it was called. I remember now. Yeah. This, right? And then the Sakuo seclusion edicts made them isolated, right? And that's until Matthew Perry came in, where Matthew Perry forced them to open up. And then that led to the all the stuff that, have you ever watched The Last Samurai? That's kind of what's going on, right? As soon as the forced, where both Portuguese and Japanese would engage in mercantilism. That's what this was, right? They were very much a mercantilist empire, right? And cultural exchange, right? And that's what the Panko arrived, right? All that stuff. So actually, there's an account of when the first Japanese merchant or person saw a European, and it must be fascinating, right? these people with very different looking skin colors and appearances. Like, that must be a wild trip, right? They just look so different, and they come in these giant ships, and right. The Portuguese at the time found the port of look at this. The Portuguese at this time would found the port of Nagasaki. What? I didn't know that. So they literally founded the port? They literally were like, hey, can we have a port here? And they were like, sure, let's do it. The fuck? The first recorded contact between Portuguese explorers in Japan. Yeah, there you go. And Nagasaki is, well, it came down in history, right? Nuno Cardo and Durarte Melo, who are apparently the real historical people in the game. Mercantile is an early form of capitalism. Well said. Yeah, Big Ben. We talk a lot about history on this stream, so we try to like bring it back to history and stuff like that. I'm very passionate about that stuff, so I studied it in college, right? So I have degrees in this stuff, so this is a huge passion of mine. But that's so cool, man. I didn't know that. So essentially, the city of Nagasaki was created because of like a mercantile like agreement, essentially, right? That's crazy. Wow. Through initiative of Jesuit Jaspar Vilela, okay, and the Daimo. There we go. And he was, look at this. He was born in Goa. Look at that. Goa was Portuguese India, right? There you go. This is why it's important to know this stuff, guys. Everything is connected. Look at that. Who converted to Christianity. Yeah, and that's kind of where they got into trouble because, you know, the Portuguese and the Spaniards, they love to convert people, and that fucked them over because, yeah, the locals didn't really like that they were being converted. A lot of the noblemen, right? They didn't like that they were being converted into, so many people were being converted to Christianity. Yeah. Oh, nope, just looked. Yeah. I played a lot of historical games. Oh my god, dude, I love that fucking game, my goat. Europa Universalis. I've played Europa Universalis 2, 3, and 4. I'm a less of a fan of 4, but I loved 3. I have like the physical copy of it. I know classic maps better than modern. Yeah. Same here. I fuck them up all the time. I could tell you like where like in Europa Universalis like you can start. Like it's so funny, dude. I told chat, I was like, I played Age of Empires 2 and 3 and 4. 4 was shit, but like they really teach you how to read maps and stuff. Like those kind of games will teach you how to read maps very well, guys. So like gaming is not, it depends on what kind of games you play, right? When that Assassin's game was released, mostly right-wing Westerners were claiming that Yosuke was not real, or that he was not some samurai. This is a standard part of a Japanese history taught in schools. It was never some new woke thing. Yeah, that was bullshit. I agree with you, Hatokari. Sorry. AOE was fun as was hell. Yeah, AOE was good too. I mean, Age of Empires. I really liked Rise of Nations back in the day too. I remember that. That was some good shit. Yeah, welcome back. Welcome back, man. I'm glad you're inputting what you know here, because this is crazy, right? I did not know. I didn't know that Nagasaki was founded essentially by the Portuguese. Hey, can we have a place to trade here? And they're like, sure, let's fucking do it. Let's fucking go. The Japanese governments are going to have a lot of Muslim and Indian migrants, then come the people who are quite against it. Yeah, I think it's just I think it's just about living in a pluralistic society, right, Kiki? It's going to be very difficult for a lot of people to live in a pluralistic society, right? Like even in like the new world settler type countries, right? Like, there's always some growing pains. I don't know what else to say. Just backlash. That's the correct term, right? If it's not wrong, a mosque was burned down a while ago. I don't know enough about that, yeah, but yeah. Thank you so much, Hakto Kari. Appreciate your support here, your input. Yeah, this was like literally a depiction of this, right? Look at this, guys. These weird people with balloon pants and weird attire with hats and stuff. Right? Because that was like the look back in the day. The like noblemen and the this is how people dress, right? In Europe. I had Japanese colleagues over before. Let's see. And then, yeah, here's the Jesuit. Look at that. Luis Frois. I know what to think. It's an ongoing fight, just like the leftists who fight racism in the US. Yeah. That's what I was trying to tell you. Is that there's a lot of people in Japan who are against that stuff, right? And it's really more about shifting the Overton window around the world to be more left-wing, not supporting war, supporting peace, supporting ways for people to communicate democratically, fairly, and without conflict. Right? So you have to do that, you have to shift the Overton window to the left, right? Because every country's Overton window is different, right? And we've talked about this. This is why there's no such thing as a good culture or a bad culture, right? Because culture is just whatever, like the food and the region and all the stuff that we've talked about, right? There is no bad culture. It's just either you're more left wing or you're more right wing. And when you plot every country on a graph, right? There are countries that are far more left wing and far more right wing, right? And everything in between. And the goal is to get as many countries to the left to hopefully do more international cooperation, right? Because the more we work together as a world, the better we'll be off. Right? That's the only way to really fix these problems, guys, right? Because nation states and tribalism will always lead us to fight one another, right? But what will get us to like actually work together is real international cooperation, right? And I don't mean the fluff that you just talk and there's no enforcement or anything, right? And that's what I'm trying to do here on this stream, right? Like, we have a very diverse group of people from all over the world, right? We have people from Singapore, Japan, right? Argentina, right? Obviously the US, Canada, that place, Canada, God, right? All over the world, guys. Germany, right? Iceland, Sweden, Finland. You don't need to apologize for anything. I recognize the ongoing racism problem, of course. I just like to say that we are having a fight here just like everyone else is in chat who fights their own countries. Yeah, and I recognize that, right? This is why I'm not a fan of I'm a fan of the way I look at this now, right? Which is every country has an Overton window and the left is essentially fighting their version of that, pushing the country further to the left. And that's the way you should look at it, guys, right? There are people who will do that in every country. You're someone who advocates for this, and I love that, man. Thank you very much. Kiki's doing that in her country, right? All these places have people on the left that are trying to make things better for their country. Including me, right? That's like why I stream. Because I was sick and tired of all the discourse. And I really appreciate that you said that, because this is what I've been saying from day one. Atokari. Yeah. He has covered that a bit. Yeah. we covered it before, Kiki. But we also we did a Discord night and we watched the movie.
Everybody knows
because it was way too violent. I think Twitch will ban you for that. I have the movie right there, so literally I bought a physical copy for it. Yeah, since the mid 1990s, this was a victory of the JCP-led National Teachers Union. It depends on the individual teachers, though, how much they get into the political separation by region. I grew up in a more progressive area. Oh, I love that. See? Hell yeah, I love that. Right? And I can relate to that because, like, there are very many conservative areas here in the United States. If you go to Texas, right? if you go to school in Alabama, if you go to school in Mississippi, those states, Tennessee, Kentucky, they are far more conservative than where I'm from, right? I'm in a very progressive part of the country. It's called New England, right? Massachusetts is like the home of the Tea Party, right? The Boston Tea Party. So it's a very progressive area, but I was taught that from an early age, right? So I'm lucky to have been raised in an area that's very progressive, and then I just went even more progressive, right? I challenged even that stuff and went even more. So yeah, thank you, man. I really appreciate you saying this stuff because this just goes back to what I've been saying from day one, right? It's like there are no bad people or places right? There are bad hierarchies. There are bad governments. There are bad, and governments are a part of nation states, so I could see that. But there are people trying to fight in every country to make this stuff better, and that's why we need to support each other internationally, right? And I love that. Thank you very much. I'm talking about my bud Land Lazy Liz Lounge. He was covering that shit while in Canada. I had toned down. Yeah, we watched the thing on Unit 14 or Camp 14. Yeah. Alabama was the worst place I've lived. So many racist people. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. So what Hatokari is saying, right, is actually very relevant because it's the same thing here, right? Depending on what part of the country you live in, you're going to be far more conservative and far more racist than you are going to be, say, in Boston or something like that, right? Or in a bigger city or something. Now, there's racism everywhere, right? But people are always trying to fight and make it better, and that's what I really appreciate. Leftist struggle is universal and borders are scars upon this earth. Exactly. That's how I view it as well, man. Hell yeah. Fuck all these fucking borders. I'm sick of them. No country is perfect. Exactly. And you could quantify it to a certain degree, but no country's perfect, right? Sure. But no country's perfect, right? And that's really what I'm trying to say is that it's really the struggle to make the world more integrated and to get rid of these scars. I love that word because they're literally scars, right? They keep us from enjoying other things openly, honestly, and using that left-wing progressive look that we all should have from really achieving this stuff, right? And I hate that. The more you start to realize how much that impacts so much of the world, you just start to go oh God, right? Exactly. We need solidarity. Yeah. And nation states are not going to provide that, right? We have to be honest. It doesn't mean that you don't like your culture or whatever, or don't like the whatever, right? Those are different things. We need to detangle the nation state and what hierarchies in those nation states do from the people and the people who are trying to actively make those the citizens' lives better in those countries, right? And that's why I strive to do that on this stream, right? I don't if you've noticed, I try not to blanket statement stuff. I don't do the black and white for that reason, because there's a lot of gray in life, right? Most things in life are gray. They're not black and white.
Hey, y'all, do
I'm so glad you said. Thank you very much. Very good input.
me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out.
All right. Now, speaking of shaming people who in the military, this is insane to me too, right? Like not only are we pulling back from like South Korean drills, but like Fox News and conservatives now who supposedly supported the troops, I guess that's what they used to say, are now attacking the troops. What? At the time, if someone who is an East Asian or South Asian yells at me, I'm never going to be that sensitive about it, just like white people shouldn't be sensitive about it. There you go. Hell yeah. I agree. Right? Ding, 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 ding. Well said. Like anyone from a former colonized or genocided country. Well said. Yeah. And that's what I would. What this is what I advocate for, right? This is, and I'm glad you said that, because, like, we need to stop viewing ourselves as this and that, this and that. We need to start looking at ourselves without these scars, as you put it. It was a brilliant analogy. Like, yeah, people have a right to be like, I'm pissed because of what your country did or whatever, or what your people did, right? Like, I don't get fucking annoyed by it or scared or. Right, there he goes. See, Simply Kiki? And that's why I said, always keep an open mind, because you never know, right? Especially in this community, the people watching right now understand this message very clearly. And that's why I love you guys, right? You're a part of the community for a reason. And we need more of this understanding. We don't need less of it. We don't need more othering. Love it. Thank you very much, man.
We, of course, have been covering the abhorrent conditions aboard our aircraft carriers in the region. Trump was once again asked about those conditions and once again downplayed the situation. Let's take a listen.
Mr. President, is there enough food on the USS Lincoln?
Yeah, it is. That was a CNN fake report. The Lincoln has been out there for a period of time, good period of time. But over the years, we've had them out there much longer. I was at a group meeting in an...
Yeah, like, I never understood the concept of white fragility, right? Hatokari. And I think that's what you're commenting on from, like, a Japanese perspective. Like, I think you're very right to not be sensitive. And I love that. All right. Because you should listen and then take it into, like, internalize that and then try to make the world better. That's the way you go, right? I love it. Yeah, absolutely.
Admiral came up to see me over the weekend, and it was at a big group, and he happened to be an admiral retired. He said, I've been on ships that are out there much longer than that, sir, and I know people on the Lincoln, they say it's beautifully maintained and beautifully taken care of. And other people went out and they found out to be true. It was fake news reporting from CNN.
Oh, no.
I mean, there are other carriers that have been deployed longer, but this is very close to a record. And we, as we covered yesterday, have incredible difficulties when it comes to resupplying these ships. So that's why the food quality is severely degraded. Because our bases were destroyed in the region, we're unable to supply them in the way that we had planned. And so it is a bit of a disaster.
But what pissed me off about that is that everyone's trying to get technical with deployment. Deployment is not the same as time away from port. It is, by the Navy's own admission, the longest time away from port in their own history. So that's it. Since World War II, a carrier has never spent that long at sea without a port call, which means no time off, working around the clock, difficulty with resupply. So yes, all of the reports are empirically true.
Yeah.
Since World War II, right? Which maybe there was more reason to have that out there, right? And these ships were probably slower, right? Et cetera, et cetera. But still, since World War II, isn't that crazy?
Whenever we see, so he's like, some admiral's like, oh, I spent longer out there. I'm like, first of all, you probably weren't at war, motherfucker. And then second, you definitely had a port call every once in a while in Kuwait, which was probably right where you were. And these guys are literally sitting out there with nothing, waiting 2,200 miles for new, fresh food.
Yeah. And Tampa.
Yeah, and we looked at what they were being fed, and it was disgusting. I don't know if you saw that, Simply Kiki, right? But it was completely disgusting, the food. It's like a little bit of carrots and microwavable, like, meat. It was disgusting.
And hygiene products.
Come on.
I mean, and
no hygiene products. Ugh.
you've literally got
hold on,
guys
let me
trying
show
to jump
you
off.
in case you didn't see them. But it's become huge news here, right? This is what they're eating, apparently. Hold on. That's a flour tortilla. This is a meal that's supposed to keep you fed for a while. This is starvation. Yeah. So that's why there's so much unhappiness, because they've been out at sea, and this is what they're being fed. Yeah, this brown thing next to the meat, that is a flour tortilla. Yeah, you can't make this up. And those are obviously carrots. How is this enough? It isn't. Well, these people probably burn, what, 3,000 to 4,000 calories a day? Maybe even more? Because they're doing drills and stuff, right? They're walking around. And this is what they're being fed, right? This isn't even enough, like, for a child. Maybe for, like, a child, but disgusting, right? This is slavery. Well said. Yeah, that's why we're covering it, right? Because they just want them on board to be basically slaves. Yeah. Disgusting, right? And there was another one here. Yeah, here's the other one. This one to the right is a tiny little flour tortilla. This one's at least looks like it. And some stew or meat or something. I don't know what it is. Pulled pork? On the left, yeah. I mean, which option would you take, guys? Option A or option B? Either way, I'm starving because I can't. This is why we're covering it, right? Because this is insane. Like, imagine these people burn a lot of calories because they're doing stuff. If you're just sitting around, maybe you could get away with this, but even then, no, right? This is starvation. I need to take both of them. Nope, you get one. Oh my god. Insane, right? No thanks. Disgusting. Ew. Here's some more ones. That's the food? That's what you're getting? This is like kids. Disgusting. They probably love Taco Bell over that. Yeah. I'd eat Taco Bell any day over this. What the heck is this food? I know. Oh my god. This one I haven't seen yet, but they're all bad, right? Oh my god. Yeah. So
the show.
Yeah.
We're gonna
keep that in the back of your mind while you're watching this, while you're hearing about why they're so upset, right? People are jumping off the aircraft carrier to commit suicide. There have been like 10 people trying to do that, okay, guys? I don't know if any of them succeeded, but they want to get eaten by sharks, maybe? Maybe I'll jump down from the ship. I will go down with this ship. You know that song? I mean, are you forgetting the colon blow in an hour after you eat it? Yeah, that's another thing. Is I'm sure you because of the colon blow after, right? You'll basically expend more calories than actually you take in because you're on the toilet. That's fucked up, man. If that's all I got to eat as a carpenter, I'd faint by the end. And these are service members, right? You're a carpenter, right? So like you do this stuff and you work with your hands and you work hard, man. Again, imagine that as your meal by the end of the day. Like that's all you got. Maybe Titanic 2.0. Hell yeah. I love that. Titanic 2.0. Well said.
Deny this reality of what is going on here. It's unimaginable. And meanwhile, so you had Fox News reporter Joey Jones, who is a war veteran, Afghanistan, actually had both his legs blown off in combat. And he really went on a tear about how lame these people complaining are, et cetera. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
I mean, how weak are you on TV complaining about tuna and noodles? I'm sorry. You volunteered.
They're literally upset that they're complaining about that being the food. Let that sink in, guys.
To serve your country. You can come back, get out of the military, and do like all of these Democrat veterans and complain about it and make commercials and be a sellout if you want to and come up with a new way of doing things. The last Democrat president that I remember that was deploying troops, Barack Obama, had the Army going to Iraq on patrol bases for 15 months at a time, eating MREs. I'm sorry, but you're a sitting duck on a patrol base in Iraq, in Afghanistan, a heck of a lot more than you are on a fortified Navy ship sitting in the water. You might have got bored, and I'm sorry. We did have more fun getting in firefights, I'll say that. But to sit there and say that it was terrible because you had a corn dog and a hot dog, I would have traded a block of C4 to the Taliban for a hot dog by about July 2010. I just do not understand the mentality. If this is a representation of who our military is now, and I'm not saying it is, but there's at least enough for some of these trash rags to print about it. If this is who we are, we're just Rome sitting here waiting to burn. We've got nothing left. It makes me fume. If he sat there and said, we didn't have any clean water to drink, we couldn't take a shower. I mean, well, I didn't get to take a shower.
You jump,
for about 6 months,
I jump.
still.
Hell yeah. That's the way I look at it.
You know, something that has something to do with hygiene or, you know, like getting sick. There was a scurvy outbreak and, you know, the guys that were missing legs were only given wooden pegs instead of metal ones. Then maybe I might have some sympathy. But to that little kid and whoever raised him, Lord, help you if you ever go into a hot war on the ground like millions of Americans have. I can only think what a World War II veteran sitting there who's lucid enough today to see that and think about the 6-month journey home from fighting the toughest war we've ever fought after being there for 4 years was thinking, listening to him complain like that. The Secretary of the Navy put out his response. That's my response. End of story.
There is
thank you for your,
lot going on there.
Yeah, thank you, Joey. Except those guys in World War II were fighting the Nazis and the Japanese who attacked us.
Right.
Not fighting a foolish war which we were losing.
And I don't think any of us would be sitting here hand-wringing about the conditions. I mean, we may be still concerned about it, but if it was a war that we felt was just, that we felt was worth the sacrifice of these men and women who signed up to serve the country. But the vast majority of people don't. And so, you know, there's a lot there. Not to over-psychologize, but I'm sorry for this man that we sent him to Afghanistan and he lost both of his legs. And for what?
Yeah,
the Taliban is back in control.
Right.
Like for what did he and so many of his comrades suffer?
And that's what most of these wars are like end up accomplishing. Absolutely nothing, right? Just glory for the nation state, resources for the very rich, and power for the hierarchies. That's really all they ever accomplish, right? And they oftentimes don't even accomplish all those things the way they want them to do anyway, right? Because they either end up losing the war or, right, other things occur. So, yeah, this is why, yeah, fuck war. Fuck war in all levels. Every single one, right?
Injuries or mental injuries or lost their entire lives or their families fell apart. Like, we did all of that for years in Iraq and Afghanistan, and for what? And so some people have grappled with that. And it's
my messages are failing to send on Twitch. I'm not sure it's happening to anyone else. Oh my God, what's going on? Twitch. Oh shit. Luckily we have the portal. Got our goblin portal here. Mine too. Yeah, now it's back. It's happened to me twice. God. Okay, let's see. Anyone else having that issue? Hold on. Trying to open up my Twitch here. Okay, it's sending now. Okay. Oh, you too? Okay, right now. Awesome. Perfect. Something happened, guys. What the hell? That guy's talking shit. It happened to me the other time when I was thinking I'd been banned from the channel. I was in, even though I thought I was a mod. Then the next day I saw that other people on Twitch were having the same problem. What's going on with Twitch, right? The messages aren't sending. Hold on, let me just check something. If I can log into the account. See here. Oops. Yeah, it's working now. Okay. I don't know what the fuck happened. That's weird. You think it's AWS? Probably saved me from getting banned. Hello, Lasu. How you doing, buddy? Welcome to the stream. Oh, shoot. A hippopotamus. How you doing, Lasu? Welcome to the stream. How is your day going so far? Oh my god. So you sent a message to, or you sent a, like a, in chat to Patokari and it didn't send? I heard you all were cool, so I had to... Yeah, we are. We're awesome in here. We're very fun. We cover politics and news. Obviously from a leftist perspective, but... yeah. I just wanted to see if the rumors were true. So funny. All right, I think everything's working, guys. So
well, I know
I'm able to log in, and it says I'm sending messages, so... I don't know what the hell happened. Wow. Welcome to the stream, buddy. Yeah, that's crazy that your responses weren't going through. Like you weren't even able to chat or anything. I usually have at least one mod check my messages per stream and at least one do really want to send this message per stream. Gotcha. All right. Well, I allow most things as long as you're not like gonna get banned on Twitch, right? TOS and stuff. I think Twitch